Collectors Club with Bryce and Michael. I know a ghost story or two. Let's do this.
I am yours, you are mine, we are what you are. I was outside getting my laptop out of my car, and like the beautiful canyon we live in, there's just Crosby, Stills, and Nash just flowing over the road.
That's my neighbor. She does it every day.
Oh man, I was just living in heaven, living in heaven, and your own private
Every day
hell.
she's got to have her Crosby Stills, huh?
She took a lot of my favorite music, and it's turned slowly shifting into psychological torture.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Bigfoot Collectors Club, the show where we share stories of personal paranormal history with celebrity guests and tell tales of high strangeness.
Yeah.
As always, I'm your host, Michael McMillan. With me always is your other host,
Bryce Johnson.
and our trusty producer.
Riley Bray.
And today we are sitting up in Casa de Bray.
Yeah.
We're not in the studio. We're not in the actual clubhouse today.
I thought we'd change it up, you know?
It's nice, man.
Switching it
I
up,
like
man.
this vibe. I like it. You guys are really embracing the Joni Mitchell.
Trying to live that
vibes
canyon
in here.
lifestyle, you
Like
know?
I said, it's
You're
working.
acing it.
I think, yeah, that's
Thanks, guys.
You like go outside and instead of birds, you just hear James Taylor. It's pretty great.
I can't get him to go away, man. He's been sitting in that creek.
Let's
Weeks.
trade houses for a week so you can do. I'll do canyon style. You try valley style for a while.
Oh, I grew up in the valley, man. I had no valley style.
Yeah,
It's deep in my bones.
Oh man.
We'll get into that in a little bit,
Give me
maybe. We have a wonderful guest with us today. You know him as one part of the two-part writing team, Acker and Blacker. He's the creator, co-creator of Thrilling Adventure Hour. He has, I'm getting glares from him to make sure this gets all right.
Oh, I don't care.
Oh, okay, good. You were a writer on Supernatural, right? At
Yes,
one point?
correct.
I think a lot of our listeners are huge fans of that show. He's written for Marvel Comics. He's
Yes.
written for Star Wars and Lucasfilm. Most recently, the young adult books, Star Wars Join the Resistance.
Awesome.
guy-
There's so many colons. The first book is Star Wars, Join the Resistance. That's great. The second book is Star Wars, Join the Resistance, Escape from Vodran. The third book, coming soon, Star Wars, Join the Resistance, Attack on Starkiller Base. Starkiller Base does not have a colon.
Okay, good.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ben Acker.
Thank you for your
Man,
at-home clapping.
That's so exciting. You have like my ideal career. Is that awkward to say? I mean, he's writing for Star Wars and Marvel Comics.
It is
and,
pretty much your fantasy.
And I know you're working on some stuff you can't even talk about.
Can't even talk about secret biz.
All right.
That's your perfect career, right? Where you're like,
Secret
I'm
stuff.
busy. Oh, what is it? Don't worry about it.
I can't tell you.
I can't
It's super
tell you.
great. You'd be jealous. But
NDA, motherfucker. That means it's spicy.
when we started working on Star Wars books, we were talking about maybe getting a friend to do a story about us. He worked at Wired or works at Wired, and we were planning a thing. I can talk about this. We were planning to. We did this show called The Thrilling Adventure Hour in the style oldie-timey radio for a decade, and we had a bunch of great actors and microphones and sound effects and stuff, and we were talking about releasing the information that we were working with Star Wars by doing like a read with our actors and the original Star Wars script and sound effects
Oh,
and
that would
score. And so we were talking to...
like the radio drama ones, the Star Wars radio drama.
Doesn't matter, never got that far.
Okay, because that would have been great too.
But all that. Anyway, so we were talking about maybe Wired will cover this thing. And they're like, so go to your friend at Wired. And we said, well, we just, on the way up here, we signed all these NDAs. How do we do that?
right.
They said, we call them friend DAs. Nobody can tweet about it. And don't tell everybody about it.
Right.
But if we're talking about it, and probably I can't say any of this.
Well-
but they don't listen, right?
This will come out. I mean,
no, you're fine.
This is
This
gonna
is a
come out.
secret
We're in
podcast.
July.
Totally
We're in
secret
July right
podcast.
now. We're in July right now.
okay.
So maybe it's okay. We'll find out.
That's the
should probably
thing.
just
is
tell.
what
Whatever you're
month.
working's on already's out right now.
Yeah, it's out. So you can
probably
just
pretty
tell
true.
us. You can tell us. Are you doing San Diego Comic-Con this year?
We are maybe if we can get a place to stay. Anybody want to
Anybody
shack
listening
up.
at home,
Listeners, shack it up.
I looked at an Airbnb that's like $95 a night, and for that week, $450.
There it is. Yeah.
it's a good time to get in the Airbnb business down in San
Maybe
Diego.
I'll just do it early. Just go the week before.
I think I'm going to be down there more than I thought, so that's good. We're doing.
Where are you staying?
I don't know yet.
All right, well, keep me posted.
That's
there you
the
go.
problem.
See if you can get bunk beds. We can totally have slumber party, slum part.
Tell ghost stories.
Yeah. And
Thematically relevant.
Exactly.
You guys were talking before we started, Ben and Riley were talking about being tall guys and how tall guys are quiet.
They go one way or the other. They're either kind of like reserved and quiet or super boisterous.
Right, like your Falstaff.
Yes. Classic boisterous.
Tall guy, Loudman.
I'm wondering though, is this support for why no one has caught Bigfoot?
He's a
Because
real whisper
Bigfoot's-
man.
Yeah, he's a super.
Totally.
We have evidence that tall guys are quiet dudes.
Yeah, 2 out of 2 tall guys surveyed. That's just
That's
science.
a 100%
Yeah.
hit rate right
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
100% of people, tall guys.
What are we supposed to interview? 10?
Yeah, come on. So just put that down in your little Bigfoot notebook.
So Bigfoot's just very polite
Yeah,
and
he's
he
just
doesn't want to
quiet.
step on any toes.
He's like, I take up space. I don't really want to take up space with my body. I don't
know,
want to
you-
take it out with my voice.
You hear some of those Sierra sounds that they recorded up in the Pacific Northwest, and he's not such a quiet guy.
That's true.
Yeah, he's pretty verbose when he's pissed off.
Bryce, I forgot to ask you. I'm so sorry. How is your new album, Sierra Sounds, coming out? It's just Bryce narrating to the
sounds of James
Bigfoot,
Taylor
to
playing
Sweet
acoustic.
sounds of Bigfoot.
Bigfoot's wild calls.
Is it the only album based on a soda?
Yes, that's actually right.
Do you think Sierra Mist is Bigfoot's soda of choice?
Go-to drink? Sure, I think so.
Over Mountain Dew?
Code Red.
Code Red.
Now, guys, I'm late to this podcast, but are there recordings of Bigfoot?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Why isn't it the news?
Well, why,
No
yeah.
one cares.
Exactly.
Except for us. We're the news.
No,
Look, there is such a thing as entertainment news.
Yeah.
There is limitless room for people to care about
They
things.
play it on
know.
coast.
Do
They
not
used to play it
matter.
on
I
coast to
know.
coast all the time.
No, that's actually a real thing. It's called the Sierra Sounds. It's
Let me
about
see if I
this,
can find it. Why don't you guys
this kind
talk?
of Bigfoot was haunting these grounds up, and I believe it was
The ghost of ghost of Bigfoot?
No,
Very Scooby Doo. Very fast.
but then up in Washington, I think, and then a guy went out there with a microphone and some camera traps. Didn't get anything on the traps, but picked up some amazing stuff on the microphone and they call it like samurai chatter is because it was very like
Really? So Bigfoot's just doing like a sort of offensive impersonation.
totally.
He was doing an impression of Broderick Crawford from Born Yesterday.
pretty much. I mean, and
That's
then
like-
there's
people at home. That is a great reference. Look that up.
Google that
you're
shit.
gonna have to Google that. Yeah, and then there's some other ones too. There's some other cases of good recordings.
The Whoop is what I'm familiar with.
Yeah, the Whoop. Yeah, the Whoop is the really popular one. It's like a
There's enough people who would care.
yeah.
That it would go in the newspaper and people would be like, oh, I guess there's a
Mainstream
Bigfoot.
media, or should I say the lamestream media?
Yeah.
What about it?
They don't want to play this shit.
They don't want you to know the
Why
truth about
not?
Bigfoot.
They're in the pocket of big no Bigfoot.
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
pocket of Littlefoot.
Okay, here's a sound compilation.
Why?
Hold that up to the mic. there.
Let me see. I just want to make sure I play it for that. It's actually
Not just like a bounty
a lot of
ad.
times it's just people hanging out.
Well, and to answer your question, man,
Not
I think a
doing
lot of the mainstream, news, they're just like, oh, that's just people doing the voice, or that's just an old wild hog up in the woods.
You don't think there is a serial style podcast that would go out like with the auspices of news or public radio at least and get to the bottom of it if there was a bottom to get to?
You are on that podcast right now.
You're not leaving this layer.
We leave sometimes.
Yeah, and you go
That's a great segue to plug our Patreon where we do special episodes and reports. Check it out.
Are you guys hunting Bigfoot?
We did a little ghost hunting. That was exciting.
We do want to do a Bigfoot hunt,
We're
not
planning it.
with guns, but with flashlights
And love.
a little Bigfoot flashlight tag, if you will.
I was reading something over the week.
Sasquatches love it.
I was
They
reading
do.
something over the weekend that was it's hard to catch Bigfoot because he's psychic. And if you're coming out with guns or cameras, he already knows about it and he doesn't want to let you see him.
We just want to hang out with him.
So
And again, I feel like this is probably not something you've kept a secret from your listeners. So I feel like I'm forcing you to retread
Once
old
again, I think we tried this before. YouTube, if you're going to label your video Bigfoot howl, you got to put some Bigfoot howls on here.
Yeah.
Not 15 minutes of you and your dogs getting out of a truck.
Yeah, no, those are pretty hard to find. I'll have to send you a link.
I love dogs, love trucks, love Bigfoot hunters.
Which order? Put them in order.
Dogs, trucks. This is just a man laughing. All right, we'll find this.
That might be what Bigfoot sounds like. You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know, bro.
Bigfoot
I'm
has
Terry
a sweet Ford
Bigfoot.
F-150.
I think
Bigfoot audio
stuff is amusing.
recording.
Yeah, where do you
Terry
stand on
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot, Ben? You a believer?
I am like I feel like I'm a skeptic, but I want. Okay, here's my thing about all of this.
Yes.
Right, and I feel like it is interesting, arguably.
Yeah.
So, generally speaking, I don't believe it, right? But if you are a person with a Bigfoot story or a ghost story or an experience or anything, I 100% believe you,
Yeah.
All right.
right?
Totally.
I love people. I love perspective. So, like, I'm on board for what they believe to be true. I love stories.
Yeah.
So I love the idea that, like, the comforting notion of an out there
Yeah.
is embodied and embraced and spoken of and believed in a way that, like, is more interesting than like a standard thing, like a Bible-y thing
Yeah.
or like a Republican-y thing. But, like, yeah, let's get together on this tree is a place where a nexus forms between realities. And so therefore, obviously a Bigfoot. Like,
Yeah.
and that makes people feel the warmth they felt as a kid at Christmas.
So it sounds as if you are a believer in the interdimensional Bigfoot theory.
I'm a believer in the people who believe it.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, that's what he was saying. And so it's
Because, like, if you put any, like, isn't the Loch Ness Monster, say, how is that not a thing that's starved to death? Like, unless there's an environment of them, right, to reproduce.
There's a lot of catfish in Loch Ness.
Sure. And I'm not advocating the idea that catfish are made up.
I think there's catfish in Loch
Catfish I'm on board with.
Right.
That's not, I don't care about your, if you were like, nah, I don't think catfish are real, I'd be like, interesting. They are real. Catfish are real.
Are they, though?
I don't know.
Is any of this real?
Who can tell?
Yeah. Yeah. See, I'm
Oh, and also I could be wrong. That's
hey.
That's the blanket I'll put on all of it.
So I like where you're coming from. It's like, and you know, we've said on this show that you know, during these, like, whatever you call them, sightings or paranormal happenings, you know, we've deduced that the observer plays an integral part as to what's taking place. So, you know, if you see a guy who says he saw a Bigfoot, you don't think that guy's crazy. You believe that he saw Bigfoot.
Well, I guess
You believe that he believes he saw Bigfoot.
or enough of it. Like, I'm going to be more
How much of
forgiving
Bigfoot would he
my
have to see?
friends.
How much of Bigfoot would he have to see? for
This
him
is
to
the thing.
believe?
Like, a guy, like, you're bringing
Is
me a
it like
hypothetical
full frontal
guy.
Bigfoot?
Yeah.
And I'm saying, okay.
Right.
But if it's
Hypothetical
like
guy.
my friend at a party and people are talking about, like, ghost this, and like, I lived growing up, I lived in this great house and it was built on this, and then this happened, and then that happened.
Yeah.
Like, great, on board. Someone's like, nah, ghosts aren't real. I'm like, hey, that happened.
Right.
But ghosts aren't real. Like, you're both right.
Totally. Yeah.
But like a guy, I don't know that guy.
Yeah.
I don't
Got
know.
it.
I don't know him anything.
So credibility is
that.
important to you.
Well, I guess if the question is, do you believe this guy, this made up guy? You have to answer now. I think
Okay.
credibility. Tell me more about this guy.
What if
Let's
I
make
told-
up some more
what
stuff
if I-
about him?
So what,
Yeah.
what if I told you I saw a guy
Yeah.
who saw a Bigfoot?
I believe that you saw a guy.
Okay. Let me see if I can get this to work. Okay, here we go.
Oh, he's found his house.
Let's do it live. Let's get it on the day.
God.
This is riveting.
Should we find
radio.
a segue to it?
Okay, here we
Hey,
go.
what are you doing on that computer?
Yeah. Right.
Mike's on the computer, everybody.
Going down the rabbit hole. Sounds like a Xerox machine.
Yeah.
Says it-
Wrong end.
This is bullshit.
That's just
Wait,
unintelligible.
did we
noises.
just see Michael realize there's no such thing as Bigfoot?
No, I've heard the recording.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
They
is
should be
all
easier to find
bullshit.
on YouTube.
End of podcast.
Mysterious'sUniverse.org. has
Guys,
a great-
I
Did it.
quit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go find me a Dracula. See you guys.
Yeah.
A Dracula.
Just the one.
There we go.
No human being could possibly make a noise like that. Only
Yeah,
one.
that's more like the howl one.
They sound like that. They sound like tornado warnings, tornado alarms.
Oh dear.
So,
Oh my god, there's some Bigfoots in here.
well, but if you heard that out in the middle of the woods
Yeah.
at night, like nothing like that around. I don't know. I
Except for
couldn't
some people.
listen. I could not provide I
Yeah,
could
those
not
weren't
provide
the,
solid evidence.
Will you
Boy,
prove a
Bryce is-
Bigfoot or not?
I'm gonna
in this
get
episode?
Bryce is gonna corner me out at my car after this and be like, "Don't you fucking
Dude, if you ever do that again.
bring that bullshit back on this podcast?"
Wait, why would he have to do it now? You just did it.
Well,
Yeah.
that means he's really gonna do it.
You're in trouble.
You don't. So
trouble.
Forgive me. What is the pecking order of this podcast? Because I'm
there is
making a
no
lot of eye
pecking order.
contact
So
with
it
you.
goes Bigfoot,
No, I mean
aliens,
among the hosts.
ghosts,
That's pretty
Like
accurate.
who's in-
Chupacabra.
Who's in charge? Which one should I defer to more?
Oh, hey, it's 33.33%.
It's a power vacuum.
Yeah.
We're a triangle. We're a Bermuda's triangle
Yeah.
here.
Oh,
Yeah.
thematically relevant.
Yes. So, personal paranormal history wise, this means that you yourself have not seen, witnessed, experienced anything that you cannot explain.
Correct. But when I was a wee child,
Okay, this is fine.
we'll see. I mean, I only just started the story.
Okay.
I definitely had vivid dreams of scary things that affected my waking life.
Okay.
Does that count?
Sure.
Great. This has been a fun podcast. I appreciate your validation.
You're in the club.
All right.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, like I dreamed of hanging out at my friend's house and a ghost knocking on the door, and it was like, oh, I know that to be a ghost by
A gentleman caller.
No, he was not gentle and not a man.
What was he like?
It was the way he knocked that was like, oh, that's for sure a ghost, like just a solemn like poof, 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 and me going like in a bed, like sleeping over at my friend's house, going, who is it? Like what? Like anyone else who owned the house, it was a sleepover, would have just like ding ding opened the door. So it clearly wasn't the Ragsdales. It was who is it? Tum, 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 like who is it? I guess I was a young Paul F. Tompkins. Who's there? Please identify yourself.
An unearthly knock.
Yeah, like a scary, ominous knock that was just
In
like,
your dreams.
I assume it was a dream.
Oh, you heard this as a kid. So, no, this
Yeah, no,
happened
this is
sleeping
totally did
over
happen.
at the Ragsdales. Mm-hmm. Were you also friends with the Rockefellers and the Carnegies?
Is Ragsdale a famous rich person?
I don't
name?
know. It sounds
just
rich
sounds
to me. The Vanderbilts.
Yeah, I was friends with all those old timey people.
So you heard
in ghost form.
Did you hear it every time you were staying at
No,
a friend's
one
house?
time.
Just one time. See, that's a story.
Yeah, that's why I told it.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying it was a dream.
It is a dream.
No, it's not.
It happened in a dream, but it affected my life. It was like, oh yeah, ghosts. That's a thing. Like, let's get out of that scary basement. Let's run as fast as we can out of that basement.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of stuff. And I had a recurring dream of aliens.
Ooh, you
Tell us
might have been
about that.
abducted.
Probably was.
Let's hear it, because this
like-
might be, you might need to go see a hypnotherapist.
Let's
Yeah,
regress
for
him now.
science.
Yes.
There was like every couple of whatever, I don't know, increments when you're a child. Who can tell? It wasn't calendar stuff, but it was like I would go down to the TV room, and my parents would be taking coffee or tea with some aliens, and they'd be like, hey, it's that time of year again. And the aliens would go, okay, we're doing this thing. And they would make like pressure build up in my head until like it just built up all the way like a tea kettle. And then I was like, I hate this stuff.
Weird. And so your parents were down there with the aliens? Can you describe what the aliens looked like?
Nope.
you don't want to, or you can't?
No, I can't. I can't remember.
Right.
Like this was very young.
Did you ever see anything in pop culture after that you went, oh, that feels like that?
Nope.
You don't remember any spaceship about it?
No.
Okay.
You know what?
No, but I
Ben?
saw. Are you calling my dreams a liar?
No, I'm just saying, I'm looking over you. I'm like, you're sort of a Rubik's Cube of a human here. Just as we're getting 3 of the colors lined up, then a blue turns up where I don't want it.
Right.
I'm going to figure you out.
If it was like, if you were like, wait, were you really awake? And I was like, yup.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
But that's not what happened.
Yeah.
Also, I had a thing where I was convinced that I had to cover my neck going to sleep to keep the vampires from being tempted by all that delicious neck.
Now,
Wow. Right.
all that sweet, sweet neck meat.
So it sounds like you had a vivid imagination for oddities.
Pre-professional.
Yeah.
But where did you get this fear of vampires from?
Apparently, I really liked vampire stuff. I couldn't tell you like what specific things I saw as a kid that were vampire-y, but I'm reading Salem's Lot right now.
Oh, okay.
And just the first vampire thing, like vampire attack just happened. And I was like, this reminds me of childhood, like that excitement about
Right.
reading this. So I must have read some vampire books.
Vampires never freaked me out that badly. I guess there was like
Oh, you know what? I'll
Lost
tell you.
Boys?
No, I had a book called The Creature Catalog. Do you know this book?
Ooh.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
It was like, I think it was the Berenstein's, from Berenstein Bear's son, wrote a collection. It was just a collection of monsters and folklore and creatures and sci-fi things.
Oh, yeah.
And descriptions. So like the big ones, the werewolf, right, was this really well-drawn werewolf attacking people, and then like a 2-page spread of it, and then a description of like werewolf
This
lore.
is very cool. I
And,
remember checking this out from the library.
But like there would be little sections
by
of
Mike
like,
Berenstein.
there would be little sections of like, here's just a bunch of sci-fi crap from the 50s, but cool drawing, and like, here's what a Triffid is. Like it was real, like it was, I didn't play Dungeons and Dragons, but I imagine it's like a Dungeons and Dragons.
It's a go-to.
Catalog of
Sure.
monstery horse shit.
Sounds awesome. We need
It was
that.
so good.
Yeah.
I mean, I was probably the perfect age for it.
I would also just like to point out that the Berenstein Bear parallel universe theory also pertains to Mike Berenstein because his name is spelled Berenstain. So.
Yeah, we talked about this in an earlier episode that everybody recalls it being Stein with an E-I-N when it's actually an A-I-N.
Yeah, the
Never
Mandela
was.
effect.
Never
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, never happened. Oh, these are cool. Oh, look, this is that sweet neck illustration.
Oh
that
yeah,
you were
that guy.
scared of. Look at that little.
Well, and I think the cover had a big vampire.
oh
on
yeah,
it,
he
too.
does. There's a big old version of Dracula.
but a cockeyed one, as I recall.
Yeah.
Look at
See
that! It's so good.
Very
Boy,
cool.
yeah,
We'll
that's
put this
awesome.
up on the
That's
show
pretty
link so you guys can see this.
No, for some reason, it's a strange thing. It's like I never was like scared by like vampires, werewolves, or like mummies, but you know, aliens, ghosts, and demons. You know that got
was
to
your
me.
jam?
Yeah, that was my jam.
There was also the books, the Universal horror books. You know about those? You've talked. The Universal monsters, your Frankenstein, your Dracula.
Oh yeah, the Universal monster, sure.
They put out these little hardcover orange books
Oh yeah,
that you could get at the library. That like each one was the movie just told. I think with photographs in them.
Sure.
And young, I got to those, so that might have seeded
These.
influenced. Yeah.
I remember that King Kong one for sure. King Kong on the cover. So what scares you today?
Scared of jail.
Okay.
That's
Like
a good
just as
thing.
kind of like a
Concept.
thing. Like if my nightmares if my nightmares are to be believed, I'm scared of losing my car and not making a flight.
Okay.
Those tend to be my
These are
anxiety
very
dreams.
practical dreams. You
Oh
have
sure.
now.
Yeah.
You're afraid of time, man.
Oh, absolutely. I'm afraid
Losing
of
your
time.
car, like where did I park?
Not where did I park? I parked it right there and it's gone.
When did I park?
What did I? What did I? Car. I know what I parked. But why did I forget it? Yeah, that kind of thing
So you're
is
not.
my nightmare. My nightmare is very like on the nose.
Yeah.
You're gonna miss that flight.
Yeah.
I need to get on that flight.
now
sounds
everything's
work
ruined.
related.
I can't because my car's gone. How am I gonna get there?
You got on that plane and took your spot on the plane.
My car is riding on the plane.
Now that would be silly.
But that would be a great seat to have on a plane. One that can fit a car. Am I right? Another tall person.
Ain't that the truth?
So going down which reminds me,
You got to play your game.
I got to play my game in a minute.
I have a feeling where
should we-
most of
should
the
we-
answers
All right,
are
so we're
going.
gonna
leave you
take a
alone
quick
to,
break, and when we come back, we're gonna play our new game.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Bryce Johnson from Bigfoot Collectors Club. Listen, if you have a paranormal story, we want to hear it. Write to BigfootCollectorsClub@gmail.com with your paranormal encounter, and we just might read it on a future episode.
And we're back, and it's time for a new segment called Bullshit or Believe It. It's a rapid fire question game.
Ooh, how totally lame of you.
I know. It's inspired. I just actually, well, not just, but I have played this with Andy and Liz on their show. Okay, so here we go. You will say bullshit or believe it.
And this is about what I feel about it.
Yeah, what do you feel about it?
It's subjective.
Yes, subjective.
Not as if a friend saw it at a party.
Right. But like I'm not answering for someone in
You're not gonna
newlywed
answer
game
with a
style.
hypothetical.
We're going to match answers.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
Okay, ready? This is still we're still workshopping this, by the way. You're
Great.
still one of the few to do this.
All right. I could make or break this game.
Yeah,
it could.
basically.
Short
I
answer.
might-
Bullshit, believe.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, what just walked by the window there? I just saw something walk by
Believe.
the window.
A Bigfoot. How many times
Wait,
have
we
we
haven't
said
started yet.
How many times have we said Bigfoot? If you say Bigfoot 42 times,
I
one
did see
appears.
something
Everybody
walk by.
knows that.
That's science.
Everybody knows that.
Those are just facts.
Okay, you ready?
Believe that I am ready.
Oh,
Go.
brother.
Thematic.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Ghosts.
Bullshit.
Alien greys.
Bullshit.
Angels.
Oh, bullshit.
Gnomes.
Bullshit.
JFK assassination conspiracy.
I read a good book about it, but it was fiction. So, but believe. Bullshit. Believe it.
Yeti.
Bullshit.
Unicorns.
Oh, bullshit.
Loch Ness Monster.
Bullshit.
Parallel universes.
Bullshit.
Reptilians disguising themselves as humans.
Bullshit.
Mermaids.
Bullshit.
Heaven.
Bullshit.
Hell.
Bullshit.
Dragons.
Bullshit.
Elves.
Bullshit.
ESP.
Bullshit.
Demons.
Bullshit.
Atlantis.
Bullshit.
Faith in your career.
Time will tell.
Wow. So
Yeah.
we got a real
Where did you think
non-believer
that
here.
game was going?
I don't know.
Pretty much where I thought that ended up.
Let's talk about that JFK conspiracy.
And that's why that question's in there.
Yeah.
It's really a
Right,
control
didn't-
question.
Didn't they release papers saying that there was some kind of conspiracy? I don't follow it.
You
but
tell us. We're
here's
not
the-
a big conspiracy theory.
Here's the thing. There's stuff
Podcast.
that people don't know about it. There's mysterious stuff. I don't know, maybe. But there was a James Elroy book, I want to say American Tabloid,
Yes.
that I read, and I was like, this is so good. And look, I'm learning about the JFK assassination.
And what was that? The mob did it.
The mob, the other mob, like the Americans, the Cubans,
Yeah.
the FBI, the CIA, something like
Yeah,
that.
there's a lot of
But
interesting theories.
I was reading it going, oh, this is great because I am learning about this thing I don't know about.
Right.
And then I went, it is fiction. Or
right.
speculative at least.
Yeah.
So I didn't learn anything.
Right.
Other than that if you ask me a question like that, I'll be like, nah, I read something about it. But it was
You've
fiction.
just described every episode of the show,
Great.
so you're fine. I heard a cool theory, which, if it's true, it's a real bummer for everybody involved. I mean, not that the assassination wasn't already bad enough, but there was this theory that the one that I heard recently that I'm like, that kind of might be, was that one of the Secret Service guys who was running alongside the motorcade after the first shot, when everyone was panicking, his gun went off and shot Kennedy, which was the second fatal shot that killed him.
Yeah.
And that one of the reasons there was a big cover up was that Lee Harvey Oswald took the first shot, or what, you know, I can't remember. There's like 3 or 4 shots, but the fatal one was, it was friendly fire when everybody freaked out and panicked. And so there's this whole, because there was this whole thing that happened afterwards where when LBJ, I think I heard this on a Cracked podcast actually, but when LBJ got into office, there are all these like weird interview statements that he made about the Secret Service and how bad they were and how they were going to probably end up killing him. That all seems like really non sequiturs. And that some of the Zapruder footage that was missing could have been like the government editing out that stuff because they didn't want that. Lee Harvey Oswald had shot him, but then the thing that, and he may have died, but the thing that definitely killed him was his friendly fire shot from one of the Secret Service guys running alongside the motorcade.
Interesting.
Which
He must have
that's a big PR disaster.
He must have been so embarrassed.
Well, think about it. It would be tragic.
You had one job.
I've been to that place in Dallas, and it's an amazing. It's like a historical site, and there's actually on that street right where he's shot. There's a little X on the street, and you can stand there, and it's overall creepy. And then we actually ended up filming in the place where Jack Ruby was shot, and one of the maintenance workers, what do you call it? He kind of ran the building, but anyway, he let us
super.
Yeah, the superintendent of the place. He let me and this other guy kind of go up and explore, the old cells where they supposedly kept Lee Harvey Oswald. It was really creepy for sure. And there was stuff written on the inside of the cell wall too. I mean, it'd be a better story if I remembered what it was, but.
That was something that scared me as a kid. Was from reading books about it. I had a
About what?
Was
Kennedy assassination?
The Kennedy assassination, but in particular Lee Harvey Oswald. I was scared of Lee Harvey Oswald. I thought I was going to see Lee Harvey Oswald's ghost. Like, that's what I was scared of. I had this, my civics teacher in 7th grade, I think it was 7th or maybe 8th grade, was obsessed with the Kennedy assassination. And for the whole month of November, he just taught us about the Kennedy conspiracy. It was like taking a class.
Like irresponsible.
We got
teacher
extra
behavior
credit
there.
for going to see JFK by Oliver Stone, and I got so into it, but also at the same time, I was so freaked out by the whole thing because it totally got in my head. But it was an awesome class. It was like the most fun I had in middle school, which was otherwise a pretty miserable time. But I just remember him like analyzing the photo of Lee Harvey Oswald holding the rifle that's supposedly taken in his front yard, but like the head looks like it was pasted onto a body. And he was like, we have new technology coming out where we're going to be able to strip away the layers of photographs. We're going to be able to see whose face is under that real, of course, none of this stuff ever happened. But he was really big on that. And he was really big on voting for Ross Perot.
Well, there you go. Makes
90s
sense.
memories right there.
No,
Right.
National Geographic, they released a documentary, I believe it was a couple of years ago. I wish I knew more about it, but they did an excellent job at kind of like summing up that, that basically Lee Harvey was the sole shooter. And he found like...
So you don't believe in the conspiracy stuff at all?
Well, no, I believe that he was the sole shooter, but I believe
Gunman.
he was a patsy. You know what I mean? I believe he was put there on purpose. But they found like this bullet marking on the back of a stoplight. Anyway, it was kind of like the missing bullet that put it all together. But anyway,
this is not really our area of expertise.
not our area of expertise, and I am.
But what do you have?
No, I just got excited that I was like, oh, what is their expertise area? And then Bigfoot.
But back to Bigfoot.
Aliens.
It all popped in. I was like,
Yeah.
there's the title of the show. I remember what it is.
All right, great.
Like,
Yeah, we'll see.
and like, I know I said bullshit for every one of those because it's like, do you believe that's a thing
That's
walking
fine.
around? But like, I do believe in the power of like the myth,
Right.
Like, I dig that side of it.
Well,
Sure.
I might
Like, I
be able to
traffic in
change
that
your
stuff.
mind on
Great.
On UFOs after our story of high strangeness because it is one of the most famous cases in UFO lore.
I don't even know what we're doing this week,
And,
so let's take a quick break, and when we come back, it's time for High Strange.
High strangeness, yeah. All right, back with high strangeness.
Bryce, it's your turn this week.
All right.
I don't know what you're doing. This is fun. It's been a while since you...
I'm trying to turn Ben into a believer.
Okay,
is what
I
great.
feel like Scully. That's the right reference.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited because this is actually the first time in a while that I don't know what you're going to do.
Okay, cool. Well, this is a legendary case in ufology, and this is the Soccoro Saucer. Now, on April 24th, and it's a close encounter of the third kind, so I think you'll like it.
Also known as Close Encounters of the Best Kind.
Right. On April 24th, 1964, a 31-year-old sergeant, Lonnie Zamora of the Socorro, New Mexico Police Department, was in hot pursuit of an unruly speeder on U.S. Highway 85 when all of a sudden he heard a loud roar and he saw bright bluish and orangish flames in an area not too far off in the distance. Now, knowing that there was a dynamite shack around there and thinking there might have been an explosion, Lonnie made a life-changing decision to abandon the car chase and head over to the area in search of the cause of the noise and the flames. Eventually, he came across what he thought was an upturned car and 2 small occupants standing next to it, both dressed in what he described to look like white coveralls. Now, Zamora radioed police headquarters and reported that he was going to investigate what he believed to be an automobile accident, thinking that possibly it was their gas tank that maybe had exploded. Proceeding up to the road to a point where he could observe the object, which was in a gully, Zamora stopped his car, got out, and headed towards the object, and that's basically, and its occupants, and that's kind of where the shit hits the fan. From here, I'll read you an undated CIA report obtained by the Freedom of Information Act as the story continues. The object was on girder-like legs, white, and egg-shaped or oval. As he approached, Lonnie Zamora, the object, there were some noises and flame and smoke began to come from the bottom of the vehicle. The noise increased from low pitch to high pitch and was different from that of a jet or helicopter and not like anything Sergeant Zamora had ever heard. The flame was blue like a welder's torch, turning to orange or yellow at the ends. Thinking that the object was going to explode, he became frightened. He turned, ran back to get behind the police car, bumping his legs and losing his glasses on the way. He crouched down, shielding his eyes with his arm, while the noise continued for another 10 seconds. At this time, the noise stopped and he looked up. The object had risen to a point about 15 to 20 feet above the ground, and the flame had ceased to come from the object. The object had a red marking, about 1 foot or maybe 18 inches in height, shaped like a crescent with a vertical arrow and a horizontal line underneath. The object hovered in this spot for several seconds and then flew off in a southwest direction following the center of the gully. It cleared the dynamite shack by not more than 3 feet. He watched the object disappear in the distance over a point on Highway 85, about 6 miles from where he was standing. The object took about 3 minutes to travel that far. Disappearance was by fading in the distance, and at no time did he observe the object rise more than 20 feet off the ground. So that's the actual CIA report. Now, Zamora had kept radio contact with police headquarters, and while proceeding to the location, since the state police used the same frequency, his call was monitored by a Sergeant Sam Chavez of the New Mexico State Police. Zamora had attempted to direct Chavez to the location, but unfortunately for him, he took a wrong turn and missed the sighting. When he did eventually reach Zamora, 3 minutes after the object had disappeared, he found that, in quotes, Sergeant Zamora was pale and upset at what he had witnessed. Sergeant Chavez was skeptical of the situation and proceeded to where Zamora had seen the UFO. Here, he found marks and burns on the ground and smoke that appeared to be coming from a bush which was burned, but no flames or coals were visible. The marks were fresh and no other marks were in the area. Sergeant Chavez secured the area and contacted local military authorities. As the other officers and investigators arrived, they discovered deep landing marks and small footprints on the ground. FBI and Air Force personnel soon joined local authorities in the investigation and also observed the burned debris where the object had sat. Measurements were taken by authorities that verified 4 indentations on the ground where the craft landing legs had dug into the ground. Now, Zamora's reputation was that of a well-respected, reliable police officer with no hint of impropriety in his life, personal or professional. He described the event in detail to all who reviewed the case, including renowned UFO investigator J. Allen Hynek, who represented the Air Force's Project Blue Book at the time of Zamora's sighting. Immediately after this sighting, he made a drawing of the insignia he saw on the side of the craft, and I have a picture of that here for you. This is actually Lonnie Zamora's his own drawing.
You want to describe what you're looking at there, Ben?
It checks out. That's all you need to.
That's all you need to know. It checks
What
out.
is it for our audience at home? And we'll post this, of course, in our show notes and on our Instagram page. But
Imagine it. Well, am I describing the the insignia?
Yeah.
or
What is it? Or either one? What are you looking at?
Looking at a pretty realistic photograph of a police officer man looking at a spaceship taking off. Is that smoke or is that
That's the
ground?
bluish flame. That's the ground. That's a representation, that picture you're looking at. But what you're looking at below is actually
The
Lonnie
insignia.
Zamora's.
All right. Yeah, he
that's
signed
his
it.
own drawing, and he signed
The
it.
insignia is an oval.
That's the ship.
Oh, okay. So the insignia is like a crescent moon, but like worn like an eyebrow atop a triangle with a line underlining an underlined triangle.
Cool.
That's what you'd do if you were an alien.
Sweet logo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they were a band.
And it was
Oh, yeah,
red,
totally.
right? It was a bright red logo, correct?
Yeah, it was a bright red logo. Now,
It's cool.
Hector Quintanilla Jr., the former head of Project Blue Book, went on to state there's no doubt that Lonnie Zamora saw an object which left quite an impression on him. There is also no question about Zamora's reliability. He is a serious police officer, a pillar of his church, and a man well-versed in recognizing airborne vehicles in his area. He's puzzled by what he saw, and frankly, so are we. This is the best documented case on record, and we've still been unable, in spite of thorough investigation, to find the vehicle or other stimulus that scared Zamora to the point of panic. Now, afterwards, the case received a great deal of press and a lot of attention by UFO groups around the world. The one negative kind of being that Zamora was considered reliable by everyone who knew, but he was the sole witness of that particular event. Naturally, any report given more weight when multiple witnesses are involved. Later, there would come to substantiate more witnesses, but that's another thing. Zamora took such ridicule and kidding from members of the police force and local community that he retired 2 years after the incident.
Wow, really?
Yeah. While the Zamora case does not prove the existence of extraterrestrial life, there is no doubt that some type of unusual craft with occupants did land and take off again. Dr. J. Allen Hynek, who interviewed Zamora on more than one occasion, believes every word that Zamora said, however, offers no explanation for his sighting and remains one of the few cases labeled unknown in the annals of Project Blue Book. In Hynek's own words, there is much more evidence to indicate that we are dealing with a most real phenomenon of undetermined origin. Now, a man named Ray Stanford, he kind of wrote the authoritative book on the subject, and the book is titled Soccoro Saucer in a Pentagon Pantry. Stanford arrived.
Say that again?
It's called Soccoro Saucer in a Pentagon Pantry.
In a
awesome
Yeah,
title.
it's an
Pentagon
awesome title,
Pantry.
and it's
Cool.
actually out of print. You can't find this anywhere. You can actually contact the Ray Stanford, who's still around, and he will get you a copy of his book and even sign it. He is the authority on this.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. Now, Stanford arrived on the scene 4 days after the initial sighting, conducted his own investigation, and discovered what appeared to be metallic debris scraped onto a rock. The particles had apparently been scraped onto the rock by one of the UFO's landing legs, of which he took samples. Ray and some members of the NICAP, which stands for National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomena, visited.
They were kind of like the original MUFON.
Yeah. They
Mutual
visited
UFO Network.
NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center at Greenbelt, Maryland, in order to have the rock with particles of metal on it analyzed by NASA scientists. Dr. Henry Frankel, head of the Spacecraft Systems Branch, directed the analysis of that rock, in which he stated upon conclusion, "I have some news that I think will make you happy." Quote, "The particles are comprised of a material that could not occur naturally. Specifically, it consists predominantly of two metallic elements, and there is something that is rather exciting about the zinc-iron alloy of which we find the particles to consist. Our charts our charts of all alloys known to be manufactured on Earth, the USSR included, do not show any alloy of the specific combination or ratio of the two main elements involved
Set
here.
during the Cold War.
The findings definitely strengthens the case that might be made for an extraterrestrial origin of the Socorro object," end quote. Now, Dr. Frankel added that the alloy would make an excellent, highly malleable, and corrosive-resistant coating for a spacecraft landing gear, or for about anything where those qualities are needed. He also said that he was prepared to make a statement before a congressional hearing to this effect. Now, unfortunately, when Stanford tried to get Dr. Frankel back on the phone a few weeks later, he was told by a Thomas P. Siaka Jr., also of NASA's Spacecraft Systems Branch, that Dr. Frankel is no longer involved with the matter and that everything you were told earlier by Dr. Frankel was a mistake. Which begs the question, if what Zamora saw was not of extraterrestrial origin, where did it come from, why did it land, and who were the strange occupants? And that's the story of the Lonnie Zamora incident, otherwise known as the Soccoro Saucer.
There's one part of this. I love this story. Great job, too.
Thank
by
you,
the way.
yes.
Yeah.
Well read.
There's also one element that was left out that I always really like in this story is that when he's pulling around in the patrol car, he had to go kind of around a bend that overlooked the gully that the craft was in.
Yeah.
And you could see as he was approaching, like you said, the occupants outside the craft in the white jumpsuit.
Right.
And then when he had to pass across, there was a rock
there's twists and
formation.
turns.
And there was some rock formation that blocked his view temporarily.
Yeah.
And then so when he came over, he could no longer see the occupants as he got out of the car, but he could hear metal slams. He said like a hatchway closing.
Yeah,
which I
metallic door slam.
Yeah, before did you mention that?
No, I didn't, but
I
that's part of
love
it.
that because it kind of gives it a little personality too. Like they saw him coming and they jumped back in the ship.
Well, that was supposedly
They were like a cop.
They're like,
Yeah.
the cops are here.
No, I mean that's what they stated is like, you know, in another one of his reports, because he did an interview the day after, which he goes into all kinds of extensive detail about what he saw. He was like, as soon as I saw these, and he described them as like what only could look like children,
Yeah.
like 2.5 feet tall.
They were child size.
and he couldn't get it. And you know,
They were like Snickers fun size.
yeah, right.
Of people.
And
Yeah.
they asked him, you know, were they human? And he said, I can't tell you that. He was a very, you know, professional observer.
Well, had he lost his glasses by that point?
Well, no.
No, that's when he was driving in the car.
Yeah, that's when he was driving.
He didn't lose
saw-
his glasses until the thing started to take
I know,
off.
I love that part too. It's so like, you know, science.
I did lose my glasses,
did
but
lose
not
my
before I got a
glasses.
great look at them. Sorry.
You don't need your
attorney.
glasses to see a giant white egg flying in the sky.
Yeah, no, and you know there were Ray Stanford went around town, and he discovered more witnesses that saw that same type of craft.
That was my next question for you. Was
Yeah.
who were the other witnesses? There was
a family, a husband and a wife with their kids
in
who
the
were
car, right?
Yeah, they were in a car. They were pulling into a gas station, and you know, apparently this thing buzzed right over
Yep.
their car. And he went up to the gas station attendant. And he's like, you know, you're whatever you're flying around here flies awfully close. You know,
That's right.
But they got a good look at it. And then when Ray Stanford went around to find these people, because you know the authorities did a pretty lackluster job of like, you know, following up and doing all these interviews. It was really Ray Stanford's legwork and gumshoe leather that kind of, you know, put this case on its map. But yeah, and then so they described also that same sort of metallic oval shaped white object.
All right. When we come back from this break, we're going to ask our guest.
What the hell was that?
Hey guys, it's Michael, and if you're a fan of Bigfoot Collectors Club, then you must be a fan of cool stories. Well, guess what? A comic I created and wrote called Adventure Van is coming out this summer, and you can pre-order issue number 1 all June long through your local comic book store. What is Adventure Van? It's a sci-fi fantasy comedy about a sensitive artist from Kansas named Corey Biggs who discovers that he's secretly the lost prince of a distant kingdom overrun by an evil monster. And it features so many elements of the things that we talk about right here on the show. Strange encounters in the woods, large hairy creatures, UFOs, parallel dimensions, and yes, it has portals. Not to mention a tricked out magical airbrushed 80s camper van. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, go to your favorite comic book store and tell them that you want to order Adventure Van number 1, written by me, illustrated by the super awesome Ryan Cody. Seriously, this guy is good. And published by Golden Apple Books. Adventure Van. And we're back, but before we get started, I wanted to say something else, Bryce.
Yes.
Your arms look really good. It's
Thank
summertime.
you.
You're wearing
Thanks.
short sleeves.
Sun's out, guns out, buddy.
Yeah, the light's
Damn.
coming in through the window. just
And there
sort
was
of
like a really
illuminating.
sexy photo that was posted on Instagram of Riley the other day.
Yes.
I'm discovering that
Thanks,
I'm
guys.
becoming really sexually attracted to both of you. I hope that's okay.
I'm
Is
comfortable
that okay
with
for
that.
me to say?
Yeah, I can handle that.
We think it helps bring credence to these stories.
It does.
No, but nice work, man.
Thanks, Michael.
I got a lot of catching up to
No,
do.
you're fine. You're doing
You're
great.
so easy on the eyes.
Oh Jesus. Ben,
What the hell was that?
what the hell was
I
that?
think that's just the truth.
Yeah.
Your arms are great.
Oh man.
I'm sorry, did I offend you?
No, not at all. I love that. I love
Offended with compliments.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, you are handsome. No offense.
No offense. So what do you think that was? What do you think Sergeant
alien spaceship.
Lonnie Zamora
Done.
saw?
Alien, obviously,
Yeah.
based on the clues.
Yeah.
Alien spaceship.
Yeah.
Right, there we go.
I love it.
The
Done.
clues.
What else could it be?
The Soviets.
Well, you know, now a lot of
They said something about it couldn't have been the Soviets.
Yeah, a
during the Cold War.
Just to kind of play devil's advocate here, the skeptics had a heyday with this one, and this is where it gets like this is where these skeptics really you kind of like. So some debunkers suggested that the whole affair was a hoax. A Harvard astronomer, Donald Menzel, first suggested that Zamora had been the victim of a complex prank engineered by New Mexico tech students.
What?
Who planned the whole business to get Zamora.
You know,
This is like an Animal House situation.
Right.
You know how we're going to show that one cop?
Right.
Here's the plan. He's chasing someone, right?
Yeah.
Then what we do is
Right.
crash our spaceship that we have.
Hey,
Next to the old dynamite shack.
Yeah.
get Lenny, get Shorty, put him out there.
Yeah.
And you just wait for that cop to be chasing somebody.
Listen, this
and
theory,
it's go time.
This theory it took a lot of, it got a lot of steam, and it's so funny because they're like, oh, it was a hot air balloon, but that's where the flame goes up into the balloon to get it moving up. This is obviously was described a flame.
Also, I'm sorry, a cop knows what a fucking hot air balloon looks
Well,
like.
exactly.
Even a cop from History Times.
Yeah.
Even a Cold War era cop.
Well,
what is that? Some kind of egg? Some kind of fancified egg?
That's true. We don't. Was he a Victorian policeman?
Years later, that same astronomer, after Hynek suggested this to some Socorro citizens who discounted that whole idea, he later Menzel argued that Zamora had misidentified a dust devil. Also,
what's
come
a
on.
dust devil? Is
It's
that
like
It's like a mini tornado.
mini
It's not really a tornado. It's just a breeze that got lost.
Now, one of the more interesting
breeze.
one of the more interesting theories was that NASA was testing an early engineering model of Surveyor, the lunar probe that went to the moon, and records show it was being tested at White Sands Air Base. And then they say it was flown dangling from a White Bell helicopter. To which I'll say, give me a break. If they're going to fly some top secret moon landing equipment, they're certainly not going to do it outside of the range of
Next to the road.
Yeah,
landed
next
on the
to the
highway.
road. Yeah, exactly.
We've talked about this on the show. I've been through Area 51. That Area 51 is nowhere near that highway. You have to go so far off the main road to get near there.
Yeah.
Same with
yes,
Moab.
they're flying like stealth bombers over, but those aren't secret anymore.
Well, I just think it's a terrible explanation. I mean, yeah. And so these skeptics, they seem to, nobody just wanted to accept that it was what it was, which was a
Straight up spaceship.
a straight up spaceship, man.
I mean, I appreciate you playing along with this, Ben, but do you really feel like if you laid your head down tonight on your pillow and thought,
That's what I'm going to do, motherfuckers.
yeah, what are you gonna? Are you
How
like?
am I going to explain that
that's
to myself?
Yeah.
I'd be
I mean, there's no right or wrong answer.
Well, there's too many details to like. There's not enough information for me to go. I don't have. I wish I were the kind of super intellectually curious all the time guy, so that I'd compiled in my head a laundry list of questions to ask that story that will not have more answers than you read, or enough to go, yeah, probably that happened. Like there's who knows. That's it's a great story well told.
but who knows?
Like why would you pull a thread of it based on having no more information than that?
I guess just because I asked you to.
No, and I'm saying like I'm not. When I rest my head, I'll be like, that was a good story.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
well-
it tracks. Like I would watch that movie and like be on the side of it being a real thing in that movie.
Well, like
Is that
Bryce,
helpful?
let me
No.
ask you this: if Bryce, as Bryce said, does it help sway? If you're like, well, man, a cop in Arizona saw something like this in the '60s, maybe it's puts one more,
he was the ideal witness.
coin in the
as,
piggy bank of this is possible.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One,
Yeah. No, I'd like to believe in more stuff.
Yeah.
one
I'm on
theory,
the
Ben, that I think you'll like.
The problem is I don't believe in enough.
Remember that bullshit?
Yeah.
Yeah. One theory I think you might
But
like.
maybe it was mermaids.
It might have been.
I know
flying
it was mermaids.
Is a mermaid like a mermaid that's a maid? Is a
Like mermaids have
you
mermaids.
said like
to clean up the
you said
aquatic
mermaid.
Oh, that's regional.
Is it instead of mermaid? I thought maybe a mermaid is a mermaid that's a maid,
a mermaid.
a house cleaner.
Yeah, that's not.
Okay,
Yeah, that's not what I meant. But
possible.
if it, if it gets you more people on Patreon,
Some suggest that this was supposed to be a diplomatic exchange at White Sands Air Base with top U.S. government officials, and these two extraterrestrial emissaries, as suggested in Chapter 5 of the Majestic 12's Special Operations Manual.
Dude, have we ever talked about Majestic 12 on this podcast?
No, but we need to.
Oh, yes, we do.
Now, so they have a Special Operations Manual, and there's a section titled EBEs and Encounters. An EBE is an extraterrestrial biological entity, and it's stated as follows. Encounters will take place at military installations or other obscure locations selected by mutual agreement. So, those who believe this was a craft of extraterrestrial origin, some theories are out there that, they just got the coordinates wrong and that they mislanded their craft.
They got all the way out there.
When really they had a planned meeting with, top secret government intel at White Sands. They just overshot it, And it did take off back again. They got back in their craft, and it hovered no more than 20 feet.
They were standing outside there waiting, going, where the fuck
Where
is...
the fuck are
Also,
these
why are we
guys?
doing this by the side of this road?
There's a dynamite shack. That's dangerous.
Yeah, I know. We ended up near a dynamite shack.
You know what? Calling the truce
a
off.
little old
It's
place
over.
where can blow up together.
Another interesting thing about that dynamite shack too. Ray Stanford, the author of that book, Socorro Saucer, he went back out there a few months later. Now this is where it gets weird. And
Saw some
as if it wasn't
vampires.
weird
this
enough.
This is where it gets weird.
Yeah, but no, he took a picture of that dynamite shack, and because somebody he'd heard on somebody asked who owned the dynamite shack, so he went back out and he took photographs of the dynamite shack and the sign above it. And when he went back to look at his film, I love this. We always talk about when you go back to look at the film, he saw in the distance that a white oval-shaped object with landing legs.
What?
In that photo. It's
Where's
true.
that picture?
He's never released it. But he
This
said,
guy is making us look like fools.
I know. But it's part of this thing where it's like there's always like this super strange element of like high strangeness to these stories there. Whereas okay, so he went back like months later and in some photograph he sees that same craft.
Stanford did?
Yeah, Ray
Wow,
Stanford.
Okay. And he wrote the book.
He wrote the book
Why
on
didn't he
it.
put the photo in the book?
He said because he took a lot of flack for on his position on what this thing was, its propulsion system and whatnot. And so, he's kind of left it to this is his ace in the sleeve. And he said he will release it someday soon.
Ray.
And just to let you know,
The time is now.
He is not just some casual observer. He was also a paleontologist, so he finds fossil bones, and he's got some of his dinosaur bones in the Smithsonian. So he is a qualified observer of things and
Of bones.
of bones, and
No
also,
slouch.
he's no slouch. He has a scientific mind and body, but. I could have left the story just there and not said anything about his photo where he picked it up again. But this is that type of strange shit that happens in this phenomena where even you said it, I believe the person who said they saw it, there's something that I believe is taking place with, and he's been no stranger to attract phenomena himself. He's also stated that he has all kinds of film and photographic evidence of flying things, flying saucers. So there seems to be this like some people just attract these things, I'm not discounting anything of what happened to Lonnie Zamora, but it certainly adds an extra strange element to this story.
I'm hoping more weird stuff happens to us now that we have this podcast.
I was traveling one time in Italy, which is arguably not important to the story. I met someone at a hostel, and I had been living in London, and they played The Exorcist on the big screen. And I was talking about how it's a great movie to see on the big screen.
For sure.
You can't watch it on your small TV. You need that experience. And she went, "Ooh, don't even talk to me about that." I was like, a movie? She was like, that Demo stuff. She shortened demon to Demo.
Right. She didn't want to say the name.
She's like, you know how you when you're talking about it, it kind of feels weird just in the talking about it. She's like, that's them listening. and if you talk enough about it, they'd be like, I guess they want to visit.
That's where the expression "speak of the devil" comes from.
Wow.
That lady.
That's what it's about.
Yeah, I found
she
her.
made it up. No, but that's what it means.
Origin.
Well, I love that story.
Yeah.
It's great. I also wonder if who created Mork and Mindy? They must have heard that
Gary
story.
Marshall.
Yeah, Gary Marshall. They must have heard that because Mork flies around in a white egg.
Yeah,
That's not too long before Mork and Mindy.
Well, it's strange. And what's
Or
great?
when Mork and Mindy was set.
Yeah.
It's true.
What's great about it has a lot of.
Well, I think Mork and Mindy started in the 50s and Happy Days.
Yeah.
And then I think it ended up in the 70s in Colorado.
Yeah, in Colorado for sure. Boulder, right?
Yeah, Boulder.
But why did he like?
Weird. I don't think
he didn't know Mindy and he didn't meet her.
No, he just hung out with the Fonz.
He hung out with the Fonz, and then he was maybe like traveling for another 20
I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. Colors.
Canon, like continuity back then wasn't as important.
People didn't care.
Yeah. Just like they don't care about Bigfoot enough to put
just
these...
like we don't.
Guys, please, special request, Bigfoot hunters. Let's like tighten up these YouTube videos. So I can get some good audio clips.
Get us some Mork and Mindy answers, Bigfoot hunters.
Yes, Bigfoot hunters. Send in all your Mork and Mindy trivia.
I had a thought. It's like we've done a few episodes now, and each kind of alien or UFO story they almost seem to get weirder and weirder. And no alien, it looks exactly alike. There seems to be like they all have these different looks or different feelings to them. And I saw Solo this weekend with my kid, and I was like, yeah, it makes sense. There's a lot of different kinds of a lot of different characters out there. So maybe the galaxy or the universe is just teeming.
That's what I think.
With all different kinds of species that are visiting this planet and messing with people or
why not
or handling their business.
Giant galactic aquarium.
Yeah, well, a galactic federation of sorts. And who knows?
But a secret one.
Yeah, but a secret one.
Yeah,
yes,
or one we are.
Well, we know about it. We're in the podcast.
Yeah.
We get it. But
like. Humanity's not really been invited to the table yet.
Right.
We don't have the manners yet.
We gotta,
The yokels that don't come inside.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, this wraps up another episode of Bigfoot Collectors Club. I want to thank our guest, Ben Acker, for joining us.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it so much. I
Thanks
hope
for
you
having
had
me.
fun.
I did have fun.
Yeah.
I hope
And
I was fun for you.
Oh,
yeah,
you were.
and
Absolutely.
and you've agreed to stick around and tell us a story.
A bit of a ghost story.
That is going to go up on the Patreon feed. So if you want to hear Ben's episode or additional story, you can subscribe to the Patreon and get that and some so much more. So that'll be over there for you guys to listen to right now. And then in the meantime, where can people find you should you wish to be found?
You can find me on the social media at BNACKER.
Nice.
Ben Acker. The
What's
E was
going
taken.
on with Thrilling Adventure Hour right now? There's a comic book.
Right at this exact moment, there is a comic book coming out probably this month from Boom Studios, Thrilling Adventure Hour Beyond Belief, issue 1
Sweet.
in July. And we're doing 4 issues of Beyond Belief and then 4 issues of Sparks Nevada, Marshall on Mars.
Nice.
If you like ghost stories, check out Beyond Belief. There's some ghost.
Did you say Sparks, Nevada? Mm-hmm. Oh my God, that's where I was from.
Nice.
Yeah, that's wild.
I saw it in an atlas when I was a
synchronicity.
teenager and was like, that's the name of my genre
Marshall
hero.
on Mars.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
They say about Reno, it's so close to hell you can see sparks.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's where I was born, Reno, Nevada.
Should be called Flames, Nevada, if that's...
Listen,
Everybody get out your atlas at Humor Michael.
Bryce,
Change the name of it.
yes.
thank you for your story today. Where can people find you?
I'm on all the social media accounts, but feel free to follow our Bigfoot Collectors podcast on our social media accounts. We do a tremendous job of putting up pictures and stuff that go along with our stories of high strangeness, so please check those out. And if you're interested in more bonus material,
I already told you where to go.
Michael told you where to go.
Yeah. Riley, what about you?
Photos of garbage at trashbag hashtag on Instagram. That's it. That's all the social media I do.
I'm waiting for this to finally cross over to our podcast where you take a photo of like a crashed flying saucer. That would be the ultimate trash bag hashtag.
I've posted space garbage on the trash bag.
Gotta go back
There's a
and look.
lot of space garbage. It's a big problem, actually.
What do you
Guys,
mean?
Space Garbage is the name of your spin-off podcast.
Oh yeah, I like that.
It should be the name of the show right now, probably. I want to thank our guest. Again, I want to thank my co-host and my producer. You can find me on all the social media as well. I'd like to thank the band Suneaters for our music from the song Come Alone, courtesy of Lotuspool Records. Until next time, we remain Bigfoot Collectors Club. Keep your eyes on the sky.
Bigfoot's not in the sky.
Sometimes he is.
Oh, I gotta listen to more.
He's all over the place.
Sure is.
Bye, guys.
Later.
Bye.